What's up everybody? Today we're diving into Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. It's a big one. It's an animated return to Middle-earth focusing on one of Rohan's most legendary figures, Helm Hammerhand. Now when it comes to Lord of the Rings, the bar is set very high. We're talking epic battles, iconic music, and great characters. So the big question is, does this movie deliver? Well, there is a lot to unpack, from jaw-dropping animation to some things that just did not quite hit the mark for me. So make sure you stick around to the end, because we're not just breaking down War of the Rohirrim, we're talking about where it stands in the Lord of the Rings legacy as a whole. So let's get into it. A sudden attack by Wolf, a ruthless friend turned enemy, forces Helm Hammerhand and his people to make a daring last stand in the ancient stronghold of the Hornburg. Finding herself in an increasingly desperate situation, Helm's daughter Hera must lead the resistance against a deadly enemy who's intent on total destruction. Let's go ahead and start with the animation, because this movie ended up being everything that I hoped it would be as far as the animation goes. It's a really beautiful mix of this 2D and 3D animation, and there were a few parts where it just didn't really mesh too well for me, and it did pull me out at sometimes, but overall, the animation was incredible. The detail in the landscapes, the way the characters move, and those brutal battle scenes, they just really nail the intensity of Rohan's history. It's gritty when it needs to be, but it still has that epic, beautiful fantasy that we all love. Warner Brothers proved that animation can really capture Tolkien's world just as well as the live action did. Honestly, I wouldn't mind more of Warner Brothers properties being turned into animation. Just imagine Harry Potter, but maybe like the start of Hogwarts or something. It doesn't even have to be in this animation style, but I think that lends a lot to storytelling. That way, not everything has to be in live action, and it can just be a one-off story, but something that the fans might really enjoy. Or maybe we get a little bit more wild and have a Mad Max animated feature like this. I would watch both of those instantly, no question. Now let's talk about the story. It is epic, no doubt about that. It's got big battles, betrayals, and just kind of everything that you'd want from a Lord of the Rings movie translated to animation. But my one big gripe with it is that it just starts so fast. You blink and you're already in the thick of it. The movie would have benefited so much more if we got to see Wolf and Hera grow up together, see their dynamic and their relationship just build throughout the years, and then what happens in the movie and they go their separate ways, it would have felt way more heartbreaking and just hit so much harder than it actually did. I had no emotion watching what happened. I could care less. And I get they wanted to jump just straight into the action, but a little bit more setup would have gone a long way with this. Just give us some time to establish the characters and the stakes before the chaos. Okay, let's talk about the villain Wolf. This guy fell a little bit flat for me. The guy's whole motivation was, oh, my dad got killed because he was running his mouth, and I understand, but it's not really that groundbreaking, and it's really hard to sympathize with that. The potential for Wolf was so high, but it just ended up being really flat for me even by the end. He was just angry the entire time, and with not enough backstory to back up his motivations, I just didn't really care to see him on screen. But now let's talk about the man of the hour, Helm Hammerhand. He is an absolute beast. He's everything you'd expect from a legend of Rohan. He's fearless, he's powerful, and straight up brutal in combat. But what I love about him is that he's not just a walking tank. There is this sense of honor and tragedy to him that makes his story hit a little bit harder. Honestly, he might be one of my favorite Middle-earth characters now. And I actually didn't even like him for half the movie. He just gave off this smug vibe, but once he was humbled and you got to see what he actually would do for his people, he wasn't just a great king, but also a great father. He only wanted what was best for everybody, especially his daughter Hera. And speaking of Hera, she brings this human element to the story. And it was great to see her being held back by Helm and being hated by Wolf to eventually just, carving out an actual identity for herself. Her character didn't really wow me, but I did like her, and she didn't really give me much to complain about. And I have to take a moment to appreciate the music. It was fantastic, it's emotional, it's intense, it just blends really well with the story. The movie obviously has an 80s, 90s anime aesthetic to it, and I feel like it mixes that tone so well with the original Lord of the Rings music, it just works really good. So the score was really good, but the sound design in this movie was next level. The swords clashing, bones breaking, giant elephants just stomping and just shaking the earth, it all sounded really good. So where does this movie land in the world of Lord of the Rings? Well, I'd say for me, middle tier. It's not on the level of the original trilogy because, let's face it, what is? But it's definitely a step above some of the weaker Middle-earth entries. My expectations for War of the Rohirrim was a very optimistic A, but in the end, I'm gonna end up giving it a B. The animation, the music, and sheer brutality is a must-watch for fans, but the weak villain and the subpar story just keep it from being great. If you love Lord of the Rings, epic battles, or just want to see more Middle-earth stories, The War of the Rohirrim is definitely worth checking out. It's not perfect, but it is a worthy addition to the franchise. Let me know what you thought about the movie down in the comments. Did it live up to the hype, or was it just missing something? And before I wrap the video up, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to you guys. This channel is all about creating a place where people can come to hang out, talk movies, share their thoughts, and just geek out over the stories that we all love. Whether it's Middle-earth, superheroes, horror movies, it doesn't matter. This is a place you can talk about all of it. So stick around, join the conversation, and let's keep building this little movie-loving community together. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.